Hello, I'm Lucille from Horrors for Horror, and you are about to listen to the second episode of the podcast where we talk about my favorite horror film, Saw. Just wanted to preface this with a few content warnings. This episode does deal with some heavy topic discussions such as torture, gore, self mutilation, suicide, cancer, child endangerment, infidelity, and drug addiction. And we understand that some listeners may not wish to hear that. And so if you feel like that might be a bit too much for you, please take care of yourself and you don't have to listen to the episode. But if you wish to proceed, we really hope that you enjoyed the episode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy us talk about the movie Saw. And yeah, hope you enjoy. Take care, y'all. Everybody, welcome to Horrors for Horror. This is a podcast where three friends get together and we discuss what we've been watching in the world of horror. I'm Lucille.
I'm Will.
And I'm Tabs.
And today, we have a special one for you. So we've been going through our favorite horror films. Last time Tabs did the thing, I wanted to at least preface this before I get into my film, although you probably already know the title. I grew up terrified of everything. I was incredibly fucking scared, incredibly squeamish. I did not get into horror films until I was like 13 years old. I did watch stuff like Courage the Cowardly Dog, but I would run out of theaters screaming and crying over previews and sound. I didn't actually get to, I saw like 4 or 5 films that were not even supposed to be scary before I actually sat down and watched them peacefully, and that wasn't until WALL-E in 2008, and that was like 3 years later. And when I got into horror, I was incredibly squeamish about gore, or like even before, I was always incredibly squeamish about gore, and would just like every time there was something gory, I would get like I would feel nauseous and start to feel sick. So today my favorite horror movie is the movie Saw from 2004. And I love this movie. I love this movie so much. This is what in the society business we call character development. But yeah. Saw, it took me a while to decide what I wanted to do for this because I love horror so much. It is my favorite genre. I had a lot of movies going through my head. One of them was Alien, but I kind of realized since Tabs is doing the thing that might be a bit too similar, so I decided against it. I wanted to do. There's also Possession, but considering how a 1981 film about a horror film about a failing marriage and monster sex, directed by a not Russian, Polish, I believe, by a Polish art house director. I felt like that would have been too weird to start things out with, so I decided against that. And I kept thinking, and I landed on Saw. And after watching it 3 times within the past 3 days, I'm glad I chose it. This may not be the best horror film I've seen, but it is my favorite by far. Just before we get into like talk about what did you guys think of it? Because I know, Will, this was also your first time watching Saw.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I think it's a very tightly written film. I think there is like no fat in this film whatsoever. Everything is there for a reason. Everything is there for a purpose. And I really appreciate this movie for that.
Yeah. And what did you think about it, Tabs?
I've seen this movie, I think, once or twice before. And the first time I watched it, it was definitely like I was like an edgy teenager who was like watching it with their edgy teenage friends, being like, "Ooh, we're gonna watch Saw," and I didn't really like sit down and like appreciate it, I guess, because like watching it now, like more as like an adult and somebody who is more like into horror outside of just wanting to be into horror because I'm an edgy teenager, I like definitely do appreciate it for its genius. Like Will said, like it is very tight. There is a lot in this movie that happens, and it does like go back to that. Like there is a lot of this movie has, you know, like information, and the information always like carries over.
Yeah.
Like there is no information that's just said like as a one-off thing, I guess. And I definitely still think it's very like unintentionally funny at points. It is
Yeah.
very lighthearted in how it is edited. But I think the movie in itself, I think, is very well written, and I liked the story of the movie and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my favorite horror film. Not in terms of film quality, but I think just as pure entertainment. Which if you've never seen Saw but you just know of it, you may think I'm probably like fucked in the head for saying that. Like I know, like even like my parents, my dad is not huge into horror, and when I told him that I remember I went to go see Spiral in theaters, and my dad was like, "Why the hell are you going to see this?" I'm like, "I like the Saw films," and you're just like, "But those are like really like twisted and demented, aren't they?" And I'm like, "Yeah, the first one's actually like really good though." And he's like, I don't really know. Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe he will watch it. I do own 4 copies of the but yeah. So yeah, like I mentioned, I watched this 3 times. I watched this with a commentary track, where if I provide trivia, I'll provide little bits of it from there. Then I watched it with Will for the first time, and then I watched it with Tabs, and I believe Will again. Mm-hmm. Were you there again? Mm-hmm. And then some other of our friends, who had never seen it before. Some of our friends, my boyfriend was there, and like I think only 2 people hadn't seen the film before.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie starts out basically. We start out on a shot of someone underwater, and there is a blue light just floating over them, and this person wakes up and they struggle around in the water, and we realize they're in a bathtub, and they, when pulling out, fucking shit. Sorry, I ate a banana before this, and that banana fucking hates me. And they pull the drain in the bath, and that blue light goes down the drain. And I'm bringing this up for no reason in particular. This is never gonna come up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah. And this person who's in the tub falls out of the tub, and he's in this room that is pitch black. He's confused. He's yelling, and it smells disgusting in there. And there's another voice across the room. And he asks him to turn on the lights, and he doesn't know if he can, but then he does turn on the lights, and it is literally just like you turn on your phone at like 3 a.m. and you're fucking blind. It is that, but like 5 times more powerful. And we find that there are 2 men in this room. One of them his name is Adam Stanheight. I found his full name. It's Adam Stanheight.
Bro, we stan height.
Dude.
We stan height.
Stan Pines.
Stan Pines, yo! He is played by the screenwriter Lee Winnell. And then we also have Lawrence Gordon, who is played by Carrie Elways, a.k.a. Wesley from Princess Bride.
Yeah, this is actually such a weird sequel to The Princess Bride, actually.
This is the weird... I almost said the weirdest, gayest sequel, but Princess Bride is already a very gay movie.
Yeah.
Princess Bride is queer culture.
Yeah, it truly is.
It truly is.
Yeah. And And in the middle of this room, they're in this bathroom. Looks like shit. It is the most. They're in some fucking gas station bathroom in the middle of Oklahoma. This shit looks disgusting. There is like stuff all over the walls. There's bathtubs, but surprisingly enough, there's a dead body in the middle of this room. There is a just dead body. This guy is dead. He shot himself. He has shot himself, and he is just laying in the middle of this bathroom. And both men, Adam and Lawrence, find themselves that they are chained to pipes. And instantly, one of the best horror setups I've ever seen. It's simple, it's effective, it's unsettling, and also kind of helps start escape rooms. And I love escape rooms.
Yeah,
so,
this movie.
yeah.
This movie kind of was like the start of being like, oh fuck, we're in a room, we gotta get out of it, and it kind of like was like the launch pad of escape rooms, which are a huge thing.
Yeah, and in this dead body, his hand is a cassette recorder, and both of them find tapes in their pockets. I should also mention, you only know Lawrence's name by now, because he introduces himself as Lawrence Gordon. He's a doctor.
He's a doctor.
He's like, my name is Lawrence Gordon. I'm a doctor.
I'm a fucking doctor.
I'm a goddamn doctor.
And Adam, when asked to introduce his name, Adam says, "My name is very fucking confused. What's your name? What's going on here?"
My name is very fucking... What a weird name. Like, honestly, I know, there's been a trend of parents who want to name their kids these unique names, but, like, really, why not pick a proper name like Sasuke Uchiha? Like John Carcat.
Delicious.
No.
like Damien Koichi.
Damien Koichi.
What about XAE12?
God, no. We can't. Hi, welcome to the second episode of the podcast where we have already brought up Elon Musk and Homestuck and Danganronpa and...
Awesome.
What if you named your kid after Morse code?
Yeah, it's just a... This is my kid.
Sorry, when I start laughing, I can't fucking stop.
There's a kid in like class, and like the guy's like, dot dash, and he's like, actually, it's pronounced.
Yeah, both these men, they find tapes in their pockets, and Adam plays his tape first, and his tape basically, there's a voice on this tape that basically tells him that for his entire life he's been a voyeur, looking at people from the outside, but what happens when he has to look in at himself. His aim in this game is to survive, and Lawrence Gordon's tape tells him that for his entire life he has been told that he has been telling people that they are going to die someday, and now he is going to be the cause of death. His aim in this game is to kill Adam. He has 6 on the clock to do it, otherwise his wife and daughter will die.
I like how, like, Adam's here, like we're told, like, oh yeah, he's a voyeur and stuff like that, and then, like, the, like, alleged reason why Lawrence is here is because he's a doctor. Like, he's here because he's a doctor, and he just tells people that like he has to occasionally tell them that they have cancer. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of the tape, Gordon notices that Jigsaw whispers something that says, "Follow your heart." And And when they realize that there is a toilet on the other side of the room, and there's a heart painted on it.
In poopy.
Now,
or in brown
In
Sharpie.
Dookie.
In brown Sharpie, and Adam goes over to this toilet, and it is disgusting. He reaches his hand in the toilet and like fishes around, and it is fucking gross. He's like fishing around in this fucking poopy water, trying to find something. And then he's like, after that, he's like, I can't find anything. He takes off the toilet tank, and there's a bag in there. There's a bag in there. He's like, I really should have checked in there first. And inside the bag are 2 hacksaws. And immediately the 2 of them try to start cutting through their chains. Adams breaks, and so now there's only 1 hacksaw, and that is when Dr. Gordon, that's when Lawrence realizes that the purpose of the hacksaws is not to cut through their chains, it's to cut through their feet.
Yeah, you know, simple.
Simple. It's simple.
It's simple and clean. Is the way that you're making me fucking goddamn it.
The simple. That's not.
It is not simple.
Do I dare make a sex joke in the second episode of a podcast named Horse for Horror?
What we can say is this bathroom is definitely not simple and clean. Whoa!
Wait, copyright.
Everywhere you look.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Stop! Oh my god. We can't. We gotta go back. We gotta go back to talking about the movie. Can't go.
Okay. Then we cut to the very first Saw flashback.
And as I've described it, the editing in this movie is James Wan wanted to make a metal music video from the early 2000s.
Yes. And I will actually talk about that in a second, because I talked about it in that commentary. So it cuts to we have no idea. We've talked about like 5 months prior. We don't know it at the time, but it's 5 months ago. And they go to a crime scene, and they see this guy who is dead in a fucking cage, filled with barbed wire. He has cut himself open. He has died of internal bleeding, and there is stomach acid on the floor. And there is a jigsaw piece carved out of his back. And we find out that he was put in there by Jigsaw because he was a perfectly healthy man, but was also depressed and tried to kill himself. And Jigsaw was just like, motherfucker, the fuck? Bitch?
You can't do
depression?
that.
You can't be sad. You can't be sad. You're perfectly fine. You're a middle class person. You want to die? You want to die so fucking badly? Fine. I'm gonna put you here in this fucking cage. You have till 3 o'clock to escape. And if you really want to die, just fucking stay there, cunt. Dickhead. Fuck you.
Lol.
And this guy flails through this editing style. Flails around, thrashing against the cage. It is all incredibly sped up. There are flashes of newspaper clippings and his dead body all over the place, and they do this a ton. And the reason that they did this was because they did not have enough footage. This movie was a budget of $1.2 million, and they could only afford to do like 1 to 2 takes of everything.
Oh wow.
And they ended up having to do a lot of reshoots, which had James Wan and Lee Whannell stand in for the actors. And so, like, with a lot of this in mind, basically, they had to use a lot of the editing that they used was with footage that they kind of repeated and sped up. A lot of the footage was from on-set photographers taking stills, and just put that in the script and in the final product. So while it's like a really interesting way to edit and like really experimental for the time, they was really to do it so it could like feel like a film and feel a bit more cohesive. and honestly works for the film in my opinion.
It does, but it does just like give me the feeling of I'm watching like some new metal music video from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And the guy is like singing about his like ex-girlfriend being a bitch and like something like that. So
yeah.
It does, like, I do, like, laugh a little bit whenever I do watch this movie because of the editing.
No, yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
Even in the commentary, they were laughing at, which was a commentary with James Wan, Lee Winnell, and Carrie Elways. They were laughing at this film a lot. They very much, Carrie Elways loves this film. Like, they all love this film so much. They all have their problems, but Carrie Elways loves this film, thinks has said it's the most fun that he's ever been on a film shoot. He's ever had on a film shoot. Carrie always just loves this movie and kept like praising it a bunch and like having like a genuinely good time talking about it. And it's like they all had like a really good time on set too.
That's good.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. This entire, because this was a very small budget, every single shot that you see is pretty much almost every single shot that they made for the film.
Wow.
Because they could only afford so much, so like 95% of what you of 95% of the footage they shot is in this entire film.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and this film was shot in this same warehouse, and the production team, like in the same areas of the warehouse, and the production team changed it up every single day, which is fucking insane. So this bathroom, this underground thing, Jigsaw's lair, the hospital, Lawrence's house, that is all in the same space.
Wow.
Made out of the same stuff.
Damn.
It is ridiculous. Like, everyone went off on this film. And it shows. Back to the film, after that, they go to another thing to where, some guy, I don't entirely know why he's in there. I mean, like, Jigsaw claims that he claims he's unhealthy, but keeps seeing him walking up and down. As far as I've been aware, it's because he used a he uses a handicap thing, a fraudulent handicap thing to park in handicap spots, from what I've heard. I don't know if that's entirely true, but either way, Jigsaw's just like, you're a fucking piece of shit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put you in this room with broken glass all over the floor and a safe and a candle. There is a slow-acting poison coursing through your veins, and the antidote is in the safe, but the code for the safe is all around the room, and the only light you have is from this candle. Oh, you know how you feel so fucking wet and slippery right now, so fucking lubed up and ready to slide in? That's flammable. Be careful. And this guy burns up. He gets set on fire. And those are the first two victims that we see of Jigsaw's trap. And so we also meet three detectives. We meet Detective Tapp and Detective Singh, and then we also meet another detective. I don't remember her name, but she plays a key role later on in Saw 2 and Saw 3. But she finds a pen light at the scene of the crime. And what happens is we then cut to Gordon in the hospital discussing a cancer patient to his
I think it's like a group of people in scrubs. I believe that, yes, those are supposed to be like either they're supposed to be like residents, so they're like medical school students who have to like work at a hospital while they're getting their degree.
Yes. And he's talking about this patient and just calls him the patient, but there's this one guy who walks past who doesn't really like that. And he says that the patient is named John Kramer. And this guy is named Zek.
He's an orderly.
He's an orderly at the hospital. And after like doing all of this, Dr. Gordon goes back to his office where both detectives are there, and show him this pen light which has Gordon's DNA, like fingerprints on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he is called in for questioning. To where we find out that he has an alibi, but he was not seen. But he was out seeing someone that wasn't a patient. Sounds like if you have a wife and kids and you're seeing someone that isn't your patient, sounds like you're kind of sleeping around, fuckaroo.
Mm-hmm.
That fucking sucks. But after he's cleared, the detectives just decide, hey, we have someone from a trap who survived. Do you want to just listen to her testimony, bro?
Which I don't get why Lawrence is just like,
why would
no,
they do that?
I don't. I'm a doctor. Bye. Like, you don't have to stay, dude.
It's like, yeah. Like, how much of a fucking dick do you have to be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hi, this is a person who, like, survived, like, an attempted murder on her life and, like, a fucked up torture thing. Do you want to listen to her testimony? And he's just like...
Well, listen, we have some popcorn.
Yeah, like...
We have some, like, Dr. Pepper.
Do you want to kick back? Like, and he's just like, okay. But, like, 2 scenes earlier, he's like, why are you questioning me? Like, I'm a doctor. I'm busy. Like, I'm so busy. Like, oh my god. And then this one, he's just like...
He actually doesn't really want to be there. It's just the detective's just like, please fucking
yeah,
stay.
they're just like
please. Like he's like, I don't, like, this isn't my business. And the detective's like, oh, pretty please.
Oh,
Please. So much,
we think you should stay. Because we're fucked up.
Please, you need to stay. You need to stay, please. And we find out that this girl's name is Amanda Yun, and she was put in a trap. Where she was put in a trap. When we see her, she has like scars around her mouth,
mm-hmm.
and
we're like, how did she get those scars?
Yeah, how did she get those scars? She was placed in the most famous scene from this entire series, where she has this metal mask contraption all around her head with 2 things hooked into her mouth. And after freaking out a bit, a TV turns on where this fucking puppet comes on. This fucking creepy ass puppet who's named Billy just turns at her, just like, hey, I want to play a game. You want to know why you're here? I'm not gonna tell you why. But you must, like, already know why you're here. But you see this thing that's on your head? Here, do you know what this is gonna do? After like a minute, it's gonna rip your face open if you don't get the key. You know, like, you know what? That's kind of chill, right? That's kind of cool. That's kind of flirty. You know,
flirty.
Where's this key?
Did you say flirty?
That's what Billy says.
Flirty.
That's what Billy says.
Oh.
He's like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of flirty, you know. Like, see, it's like on your head. It's gonna like tear you open, you know. Like, no big deal. But you do need the key though if you want to escape. This key is in the stomach of this dead person who's just in the room, and you just gotta tear it out. You just gotta tear it out. You gotta tear it out, bestie. You got this. Good luck.
Heart.
And we get more heart emoji. Good luck. Jigsaw be like, oh, tee shit's cutely acting, put you in a saw twat.
Puts my finger to my cheek, rolls it around, and it's like,
it's so funny. I'm just like a mischievous little guy. Like,
I'm a mischievous little
I'm having
guy,
a fun
you know,
time.
don't you know? Well, don't you know, I'm just a mischievous little guy.
Yeah.
riding around my little tricycle.
Yeah.
My little tricycle. Amanda starts freaking out. We get more of this editing where it spins around the room. She's shaking around after she gets up, and she walks over to this body. She lifts up his shirt. There is a giant question mark on it. She finds a knife, And as she goes to stab him, this guy's eyes open. This guy's not dead. This guy is very much alive. He just can't move. He can't move his mouth. He can't speak. And Amanda just fucking goes in on this guy. She's like stabbing him. She's crying out. This guy is muffled screaming. It is disturbing. It's really fucking disturbing. Oh god. It's really disturbing and unsettling. And she pulls the key out of his stomach and takes off the bear trap at the very last second.
Mm-hmm.
And it snaps as soon as it hits the floor. And Billy comes out riding on his little tricycle and just tells her, like, hey, well done. Well done. You did it.
Awesome job, bestie.
Awesome job. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Whoa. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And then states that, and then says, and I quote, most people are so grateful to be alive, but not you. Not anymore. And he's like, not anymore. And we find out that Amanda was put in there because she was a heroin addict.
Yeah.
And so she was in there for heroin.
Yeah.
Basically. And they never explained this, but the person that she killed was her drug dealer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she basically actively forcibly severs herself from heroin. And claims that Jigsaw helped her.
I also want to point out,
which I'm certain is not going to come back anyway.
No, not at all. I do want to point out, though, that Danny Glover, Detective Tapp, he keeps calling Amanda Mandy.
Yeah.
And, at no point in any of the other movies because I even asked, Lucy, who has seen, all of the movies multiple times, I go, do they ever call her Mandy? Ever again?
I don't think so. I don't know if they ever do. I think it's just Danny Glover does
that.
Yeah,
and it was just, because it was so funny, because there was this, serious moment, and he just goes, Mandy, can you tell us? And it's who the fuck is Mandy? I thought her name is Amanda. It's
Mandy doesn't come out for another 14 years, bud. We find out after that, I believe, it cuts back and forth between stuff happening a lot. I'm trying to remember little bits and pieces, I guess. It's at this and then I believe it's at this point. It's at this point where we cut back and Adam freaks out a bit and throws something. This movie is a bit all over the place, and the Wikipedia article kind of does this in chronological order a bit. So I'm trying to piece together what I remember, because I also just watched this last night. But he throws a piece at a bathroom mirror, and we find out that is a two-way mirror. And after he breaks it some more, there's a camera behind it. We find that there is someone watching them with a camera, and it's Jigsaw. Jigsaw's just watching them with a camera. And I believe then after that, they kind of talk about Dr. Gordon kind of realizes I haven't seen the last thing I said to I feel bad about the last thing I said to my family, and we cut to Gordon at his house. We cut to the Gordon household, where his daughter wakes up, goes to his mom's room, and is just Mommy, there's someone in my room.
And she doesn't react how the
mom's just okay, we'll go get your dad. We'll just
she does not react how I think any mom would react, because if your child came into your room and was Mom, there's a scary man in my bedroom. Like, even if your kid had nightmares, like, a lot, and was, like, you know, say, like, oh, there's, you know, like, even if your child was having nightmares a lot, if your kid just came to you in the middle of the night while you're sleeping and was just like, Mom, there's a man in my room, I think any, like, person would be like, hey, what the fuck? What do you mean there's a man in your room? Not, honey, doesn't she say, like, honey, the bad man doesn't exist or something like that? And it's like...
Either that or she's like, let's go get your dad.
She, like, kind of just, like, goes, like, yeah, the bad man doesn't exist or something. And it's like, no, he does. Can we, like, I don't know. It is really funny.
And we cut, we then, Gordon, and then back in the daughter's room, Gordon is comforting his daughter and, helping ease her to sleep, plays this little piggy, and it's cute. It's a really cute scene showing him be, like, a nice dad. But then he's pulled away for work.
Gets a beeper on his beeper.
Gets a beeper. Yeah.
On his,
and
you know beepers.
And he's like, I have to. Yeah. He gets a page, and his daughter is like, "You're not gonna leave us, are you?" And he's like, I'm never going to leave you and your mom." And tells her that he loves her, and leaves. And immediately afterwards, as he leaves, he gets into a fight with his wife about how
immediately
his wife starts down and is like, "Why his wife says to me like." Is like, why do you act like you're happy all the time? And he's like, I am happy. And his wife's like, I'd rather you break down and tell me that you hate me. At least there'd be some passion in it.
Ooh.
And it kind of cuts from there. He leaves, but then we cut to Danny Glover's character across the street from his house, being like, like with newspaper clippings all over his wall, and it's like, what the hell happened here? And after he leaves, the daughter goes back to sleep, and I think honestly the creepiest scene in this movie happens, where she looks over, and through her closet there's an eye peeking in, and you just hear someone whisper. If you just hear someone whisper, if you're like, good night, or like, I can see you, or something like that. And it is, and like, she screams, her mom runs into the room, and her daughter's there, and this guy covered in a blanket just grabs her daughter, and then grabs the wife, and ties them up to a bed, and is wearing this jacket, holds a gun and a stethoscope, and is feeling the daughter's heartbeat as he points a gun at her mom, and they're all just screaming and crying.
Yeah, there's
for
just
help.
like this like extended sequence where you can just hear this daughter like anguishedly crying and being like, "Mommy, mommy," and it just feels
and you just
real.
hear her heartbeat just palpitating. It's upsetting. It is.
It was hard
upsetting.
to watch that because it felt like real, like, because like the way that the kid actress was like screaming like mommy and like crying, like, felt too real.
Like, genuinely hope that, like, I genuinely hope that they were treated well on set.
Yeah.
And that was, like, genuine acting and not, like, the girl being terrified for her fucking life.
Because, like, the way she, like, was crying out was, like, it was hard to watch because it felt like you were hearing a little girl, like, being threatened with a gun, and it was like,
It's scary. It's so fucking scary. And then after that, we find out that Gordon was released, and after that, Detective Tapp and Detective Singh are they are watching one of the tape of Amanda that Amanda got, and they find out that like, hey, there's a fire alarm going off here. Where's a fire been recently? And they find and track down this warehouse, and they go in and find this diorama set of the bathroom, and they find Billy the puppet underneath a blanket, and then they find another man tied up in this chair with bolts next to his neck. His mouth is covered, and he's like terrified. And after they realize that, they hear someone coming, and so they cover everything up and hide. And Jigsaw, just wearing this fucking Assassin's Creed
It doesn't
cloak.
look like an Assassin's Creed cloak. It looks like a red and black cloak that you got from the Halloween store. Like, it looks like something that I think I had. It looks so much like, just like he like went to fucking Spirit Halloween and bought a like fucking cloak and everything. It's really funny. And that's my headcanon, that like before like he started doing all this, he just like went to Spirit Halloween and bought a bunch of like Halloween decorations.
Yeah. And he comes in and sees this guy, and he's like, wow, you're awake already. Holy shit. Are you ready for the test? And then the detectives pop out, and they're like, they're like, freeze, we'll shoot you. And Jigsaw's there and just steps on a button, triggering this guy's trap. Now, we never know why this guy's in here. I actually don't know why this guy's in here. I don't know what this guy did. I never looked up what this guy did. He's just in this chair, and there's drills coming at his neck. And I don't know why. Genuinely don't know why. If someone actually knows, that would be really helpful information to know. You can just, like, probably, like, add us on Twitter about it, or you can, like, at me on Twitter, twitter.com/MidwestRegin with an underscore afterwards. And Jigsaw is just like, here's time for your game. You either gotta save this guy, or let me go. Or, like, you either gotta save this guy, let me go, or kill me, and kill me, but also kill this guy. And one of them decides to stay behind, and like one of them, I believe Detective Singh is his name, tries to look around for to how to stop this trap, and Jigsaw's like, there's a key that you need, and he's like, the key's in the box, and he's like, where's the fucking box, dude? And Detective Tapp is holding Jigsaw at gunpoint. I know this sounds really overwhelming. There's a lot happening in this movie. There is so much happening in this movie.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
And it's really overwhelming, but it's like, I love this movie. And Detective Tapp holds a gun at Jigsaw and is just like, you're like a fucking sick individual. And then Jigsaw is like, yes, I am. I'm sick of these bitches. I'm sick of this. There's a disease.
He doesn't say I'm sick of these bitches, but I wish he did. He might as well.
I'm sick of these bitches, detective. I'm sick of these.
I'm
bitches.
sick of having no bitches.
I'm sick. Need me a big booty.
Jigsaw starts an alpha male podcast.
He's like, you know what women really don't be doing is.
They just don't be cooking anymore.
Like, women really don't be breaking themselves out of reverse bear traps.
Damn. Well, I'm gonna bring it back. We're bringing it back. And Detective Singh, he can't find the keys, so he shoots the thing. And after he shoots the thing, Jigsaw, literally, this is why I say it's Assassin's Creed thing, because this dagger comes out of his wrist, and he just moves his hand and just slits Detective Tapp's throat. And Jigsaw just starts running. Tapp is bleeding out, covering his neck. Detective Singh starts chasing after him, and ends up going down this hallway and shoots Jigsaw in the back, who falls down on the ground. And Detective Tapp is still fucking alive. He's crawling around. He's like stumbling around, in this fucking thing, and then Detective Singh follows, trips a wire, and the coolest death, I think, in this entire film falls, and in a series filled with elaborate deaths of traps. I think this one is honestly my favorite. he just walks into a room, trips a wire, and there are 4 shotguns above his head that all go off at the same time, and you don't actually see his head explode, but his head explodes in this giant splatter. It is such a loud splatter. There is so much blood everywhere, and he just collapses on the ground. It's really cool.
Yeah,
I love these splatter all that splatter.
Yeah, and you can kind of see him like twitch a little bit too, which is just like, ugh. And
yeah.
I definitely do agree. Like, part of this, like the sort of lore for the this movie and this series is the convoluted deaths and the convoluted movie, traps and things like that. But I think with this death, what it and why I like it a lot is because it is just this one bam sort of death that you get, and really I can't think of many other ones that happen in this series like that, because it really is just this sort of just 1 second he's walking through a room and then suddenly he trips a wire and he's dead, and it's like, holy shit. Whoa.
Yeah. This film was never meant to be a torture porn film. They literally just wanted to make this intriguing mystery.
Yeah.
With they said they want in the commentary they wanted to make something very Hitchcockian. Mm-hmm. But realized they couldn't do it with the budget. But I think they succeed. I think this film is a great mystery. But after that, we find out that yes, Detective Tapp is still alive. His scar is healed. He has a very gravelly voice, and he is convinced that Gordon is the killer of everything, and back inside the ship bathroom, they find something that they remember hearing is X marks the spot on one of the cassette tapes. And they turn off the lights, and there is a glowing X on the wall that must have been painted there with glow in the dark.
Yeah, they explain this in the way that you're sort of thinking, because Gordon is why the fuck didn't we see it before? And then Adam's oh, because it was glow in the dark paint and the lights haven't charged it yet. And it's okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's just really funny when they're just Gordon kind of is the fucking audience member at that one point, being why the fuck didn't we see it before? And Adam's oh.
And then Lewa, now just the screenwriter, just in on here, is
it's because it's a glow in the dark paint, and was it charged yet? And it's okay. I guess.
And they break that X, and there is a box in there that has 2 cigarettes, a lighter, and a one-way cell phone.
Which
I forgot to mention earlier also. There's one point where Detective Gordon is talking about notes, about pictures of his wife and kids, and throws his wallet to Adam, and Adam sees a picture of his wife and daughter tied up with that says regards and a puzzle piece on it, and it is a disgusting
it is
picture.
Yeah,
it
it's
is
very
terrifying.
Scary, and it does actually remind me of there's this, I won't go into too much detail because this is not a true crime podcast, but there is a photo that no one really knows. It is of a photo of a of 2 younger people tied up, and I believe somebody found it in a parking lot, and they were able to identify they were able to link the 2 people back to 2 missing people's cases, but they've never been able to find any other information. I'm not entirely sure if this is a real thing or if it was a creepypasta that I'm misremembering as real, but it reminded me of that because I think it had happened by that point, or maybe it was a few years later, but it was just how do you react to seeing a photo like that? And Adam kind of does it in a way where he's just huh? He's confused at first because you have Gordon saying this is my favorite photo because it's all three of us in the photo together, because usually someone has to hold the camera and it's usually me, so I don't have a lot of photos with me, my wife, and my daughter all together. And then and it's like, oh yeah, like that makes sense, like it's a 3-person family, like, whatever. And then it just shows Adam looking at this fucked up photo of his wife and daughter tied up, and Adam's just kind of like, huh? Like, what the fuck?
And he's like, this photo's not here, and like hides the photo a bit because he's afraid that if he tells it, then he's gonna die.
Yeah.
But like, we later shows him the photo, and that's not the case. But there's another note in this box that says the cigarettes are harmless except when tied to bloodshed. You don't need a gun to kill Adam. And Gordon looks up and sees the pool of blood and gets the idea that maybe he could give Adam one of the cigarettes and dip it in blood and have him light it and poison him. But what he does is he does that, but then puts it back in the box, then shuts off the lights, and then like whispers to Adam, because I don't think he can like hear him. I don't think Jigsaw can hear them at this point, but he's like whispering to him, just like, hey, I'm gonna give you this cigarette, basically. Pretend like you're dying.
Yeah.
So the lights come back on. He gives him the cigarette. Adam's like, give me that sweet, sweet cancer. Mm-hmm. And he lights up the cigarette and then just fucking dies. He dies. He just starts, well, he dies. He starts like twitching and like going like collapse, and like the most obvious fake death ever, and just collapsed on the ground. And Gordon's just like, I killed him. Where's my family? And then Adam gets electrocuted and is just like, I was just electrocuted in my fucking foot because of the shackle, dude. What the hell just happened? God fucking damn it. This banana hates me. So it's like, well, he's not dead now. And it's like, shit. And so then they recount what happened previously, and we find out that Adam is a photographer who would take photos of people, and we find out that Detective Gordon was in a parking lot after going out of his way to a motel to see one of his like students there, and he gets mad at her for like paging him while he's at home, and just like, we're not gonna do anything about this. Then he leaves. And then in the parking lot, he is attacked by someone wearing a pig mask. Mm-hmm. And is put in this thing. And then we find out that Adam was taking pictures of people, doing some shady stuff, and then went home to develop them, and then all the lights went out. And I think this also has a really good crafted, tense jump scare. Where he's in his house, it is pitch black, and it is just, he's moving his camera around, and clicks it, there's a flash, and then you hear the camera like slowly rile back up, with the mm-hmm. And then you do it again, trying to light the room, and like he's wandering around, and after one, he lights it, and the pighead mask man just jumps out at him and grabs him, and now he's in here. And they're like, well, we were both adopted here by the same person. And then we get a phone call from the phone. And it is his wife. Jigsaw has given his wife the phone and has told him to not believe Adam's lies. Because apparently Adam knows who he is. And it turns out the pictures that Adam was taking were of Gordon. Mm-hmm. And Detective Gordon was every falling around was getting his pictures taken by Adam and was being paid to do it. And we find out that the person who was paying him was Detective Tapp. The detective who went crazy after Singh died and was convinced that Gordon was the killer, and Phil paid Adam to stalk and take photos of Gordon. And one of the first of this movie's many twists to come. And following a twist, Adam reveals that the pictures that he took were in the bag with the hacksaws, and so he throws in the pictures, and we see a picture of someone inside Gordon's house. And who's inside Gordon's house? Zepp from the hospital, who knew what the patient's name was.
Yeah, and he had also said like he was an interesting guy. He said that John was like an interesting guy.
Yes. And so basically we just confirmed that Zepp is Jigsaw. Zepp is Jigsaw.
Mm-hmm.
And he is torturing his wife and kids. When we find out that Zepp is Jigsaw, we realize the clock has struck 6. It has been too late now. And so and Phil, they're like, oh fuck, dude. Zepp then tells Gordon's wife, in I think one of the best line deliveries of the entire film, he goes up to his wife and he's just like, Dr. Gordon's time is up, and now I gotta do what I gotta do, and I think it has to be you that tells him he failed.
Yeah.
It's really funny the way he delivers it. Michael Emerson is such a good line deliverer, who also, I mainly know him as Benjamin Linus from Lost. Mm-hmm. And also, speaking of Lost, Detective Singh is played by Ken Leung, who was also in Lost. I forget who he played in Lost, but he is also in Lost. So there's a couple of people from Lost in this show, which I believe would have just started out when this movie came out.
I'm not sure. 1 second. Yeah, Lost came out started airing in 2004, so it would have been like they were like when the movie.
What do you know when in 2004?
It was airing in September of 2004.
So this movie had its wide release a month after Lost came out, because this premiered at Sundance in January 2004.
Wow. September 2004.
This movie also took...
Yeah.
Yeah. So this movie also took us 19 days to shoot.
Wow.
This, or 17 days shoot. It was a very short shoot. So this came together in just like a course of like a couple months.
Yeah.
I think, with like editing and everything.
Yeah.
Because the short was also made in 2003. There was a short film based on this, or earlier, that they used to pitch this, to get more funding. And that's actually how Danny Glover was in on this, because Danny Glover saw the short and loved it, and wanted to be a part of this. But yeah, basically, Zepp has his wife call Gordon, and she's like, sorry, you failed, and then immediately, apparently when Zepp was in the room, Zepp was in the other room, found a way to untie her and her daughter, and so she just breaks out of these ropes and starts beating the shit out of Zepp, and then gunshots go off, and Detective Tapp, who is right across the street, hears gunshots, starts zooming over, and a whole fucking gunfight breaks out between the two of them. The daughter's screaming, everyone's screaming, they're all gunshots, and Detective Gordon hears this over the phone, and so he thinks that his wife and daughter are dying. And he hangs up the phone, and he starts crying, and he's screaming in agony, and there's a whole fight going on. His wife and daughter make it out, and a chase scene starts happening between Zepp and the detective. While this is happening, Gordon decides he needs to get the fuck out of here, so he reaches for the hacksaw and starts sawing his foot off.
And
yeah.
Adam's just like, no, dude, no, don't do it.
He's like screaming like, no, what are you doing? Oh my god, dude, oh my god. And Karios is just like going ham, like tied like his shirt around his ankle and his mouth, and he's just sawing away at it. And it is, you barely see it. Like, you see like a couple shots of blood coming up, but you don't actually see him like cut off his foot. You just see it from his perspective. Not from his perspective, but like from like the underneath, and you see like blood splatter on him. And then we get the funniest driving sequence in any goddamn movie.
Yeah.
They have the two cars just pitch black in this warehouse with light shining on them, and just the sped up editing as it's like zooming all around the cars as they're driving.
It really is really funny
thing.
to like watch, because it's
So
just like super
fucking-
sped up, and it's just like obvious that they're sitting in like not a real car. Like, they're not sitting in a car, they're sitting in like something else, and it's just so funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how in like sitcoms, like when there's like a car scene, it's obviously
Yeah.
not. They're not.
Yeah.
Like, they're not sitting, like, it very much was just like a sitcom driving scene. Like, it's obvious they're not in a real car.
Just really sped up, and it's really funny. And then after Gordon saws off his foot, he is so fucking pale. He is drained. He's wandering over. He pulls out a gun. He grabs a gun, and Adam's just like, "No, I want to live. I have a family." And Gordon's just like, "You have to die." And then Adam's just like crying and screaming, and then he gets shot and falls against the wall. And Gordon's just crying and screaming for help. And then who opens this giant fucking door but Zepp? Zepp just comes in and sees the dead body, sees Adam, and then points a gun at Gordon. He's like, "You're too late." And Gordon's like, "Why?" And Zepp's like, "It's the rules."
Yeah, he's like, "It's the fucking rules."
It's the rules. Because
it's the rules.
He made it's the rules of this game that he made. And then Adam just springs up and grabs Zepp, pulls him to the ground, and when he lands a punch on him, he actually Lewin actually punched Michael Emerson there. He actually punched Michael Emerson there. And then he grabs the toilet lid and just starts smashing his head in. Just starts wailing on his head. And then Gordon reaches out and stops him after he's killed Zepp. The toilet lid is broken, and he's just holding on to them. Adam's crying, and Gordon's just like, "I'm gonna go get help. It's okay." And I'm sorry, these two are fruity. They are so fucking gay. This is the gayest scene in the entire fucking film. It's just, they're like crying. They're like so like close.
They're like,
looking at each
"No,
other's
it's
eyes.
fine.
I'm like, crying.
Go on without me."
It's fine. I'll go for help. And
There was no heterosexual explanation for that shot.
there is no heterosexual explanation for it. So much so that the official Saw Twitter account tweeted out a picture of them with a heart around it on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna be the promo image for when we upload this episode, because that picture's the best.
It's great.
And it's amazing. And then Gordon just crawls out as Adam realizes, "Wait, shit, I'm still locked to this thing. I need to find a key." Zepp is around, and he's like, "I'm gonna look on Zepp's dead body." He wanders around and finds his wallet. He's like, "There's no key." And then he pulls out a tape recorder and presses play, and the best music ever fucking made, the da-da-da, ba-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, just slowly starts to trickle in, and you hear Jigsaw's voice on the tape talking directly to Zepp. Zepp was a part of this game the whole goddamn time. There was a slow-acting poison coursing through his veins, and in order to do it, he had to kill Gordon's wife and daughter to get the poison.
Antidote.
And that was the rules of the game. To get the antidote. And so he was part of this game the whole goddamn time. And this music is just building, and you're like, wait, if Zepp's not Jigsaw, who is? The camera slowly pans down, and the dead body rises up off the ground. The body who shot himself in the head at the beginning of the film, who is like shot in the head, laying on the floor, gets up, peels back this bloody adhesive, this like bloody latex, and this man is John Kramer, Jigsaw himself. He has been with them the entire time, in the room that they were in, lying there unconscious, not breathing, after he was injected with like, we find out he's in like film 3 or film 4 that he was injected with like opiates that kept him to not be able to not breathe and move. And he just gets up and says, "The key to your chains is in the bathtub." And then we realize that blue light at the beginning of the film that we saw go down the drain, that was Adam's key. Adam has been screwed from the very fucking beginning. He has never had a chance to escape. So he pulls out a gun, tries to shoot Jigsaw. Jigsaw electrocutes Adam as he's twitching, lying on the ground. Jigsaw shuts off the light, steps outside to this fog, grabs a hold of the door, and then Adam screaming in terror as this music plays. Jigsaw says, "Game over," slams the door shut. Credits roll as Adam is screaming and pleading for his life. And that is one of my favorite endings in a horror film ever.
Yeah, I think right before we like started recording, like I told my parents that we were gonna be covering this movie. My dad was just like, "That's also a good one," and stuff. And I think like this movie is goofy. It has like its editing is goofy, and there's definitely like some funny parts of this movie, but it all just leads up to this fucking twist that, if you've never watched the movie before,
incredible,
and you've never like gotten spoiled from this like about this movie, you genuinely have no fucking clue that twist is like coming. Because at the start of the movie, you know, Gordon's like looking over this guy, and he's like, "You see, he has a tumor in his something," and he's like, the patient, and then you have Zepp, who's just like, his name's John, and he was an interesting guy. And then that's it. That's all we ever see of John Kramer at the start of the movie. And then it's like you're pretty certain, like, oh yeah, Zepp is Jigsaw. And he pulls out like that tape recorder, and you're like, holy fuck, wait, who's Jigsaw? And then that's when like him standing up in this slow motion, in the
bathroom is...
Yeah.
Genuinely, every single time it happens, I start vibrating. I get so fucking like, excited. It is so adrenaline pumping. It's like, holy shit.
You're just like, oh my god. And yeah, they just slowly start standing up and like looking at and he's just like, "The key for your chains in the bathtub." And then like you just see Adam's like just depressed face of like, no,
just shock and realization.
Yeah, of just like, no, you're kidding me. And like this like game over and slamming the door is just like, it is an iconic ending. It gives you that like punch ending that I love in horror movies. Like,
apparently when this premiered at Sundance and people were cheering.
I can imagine that. Yeah.
This premiered and then at Sundance for one night, and then had another. I think it was at TIFF, and that had a 3-night show. This film was originally going to be direct-to-video, but then after seeing the success of it at Sundance, Lionsgate put it in theaters. Yeah. And yeah, that ending is
I think it's one of the best, like, endings to a horror movie. you know, like it gives you that just like it just all of, like we were saying in the beginning, where there's these moments in the film, like every single thing in the movie leads up to something. I think that ending is like like it gets rid of all of the loose ends in the movie. Like, yeah, like without the knowledge, like if you just watched Saw 1, or if like Saw was like the only movie that came out in the franchise, yeah, people would be like, how the fuck did this person lay on the floor for 6 hours or however long, like on the floor, on the ground for that long without moving? And they do explain that later on in the series, but still, like, it's still like such...
Who's gonna watch all 7 of the Saw films, plus then Jigsaw, plus then Spiral, plus then eventually the 10th Saw film coming out? Who's gonna sit through all of that?
Me.
Me, bitch.
Us. Like, these movies are, they're so, like, I've heard people kind of describe them as, like, telenovela type, like, murder mystery opera. Sort of, like, 80s or, like 60s, like, cop show type of deal. And that's kind of how I feel about them, is, like, if you don't take them too seriously and you just watch them as a sort of, like, 70s, like, cop show movies, like, it's fun because, like, I don't think these movies are meant to be, like, serious torture porn type of movies. Like, instead they're just stupid fucking movies about, like, a guy,
Jigsaw's fucking whole thing, where technically he's not a murderer because he doesn't kill people. He finds ways for people to kill themselves. Like,
and then it's like, man, Charles Manson happened. I mean, I guess technically the only way for that fucking, like, defense to work is if Charles Manson never happened in the Saw universe. And yeah, like, in order for that to... It's still funny, too, to think about, like, spoiler alert for the other Saw movies, but John Kramer dies in, like, what? Saw 3. And there's so many other movies that are still about him. Like, he's still a main character of the movies.
Tobin Bell plays Jigsaw. He's in every single fucking film.
Oh yeah, and it's so...
Except Spiral, I think. I don't think he's in Spiral.
Which is funny. And, like, he's not even the one that everybody, like, views him as, is the, like, he is and he isn't, but all the things that's, like, on the, like, merchandise and stuff is Billy the Puppet, which is also just fucking hilarious. Like, it's this fucking puppet.
So funny.
And, like, when he comes out on...
that James Wan made himself.
And he comes out on his little tricycle, and he's just like, you appreciate life, Amanda. And it's just like, who is this little guy?
Oh, you love your fucking life. Oh, he's just a little fucking guy.
He's like just a little guy, which I can just...
Aw, the scrubbly.
I can only just imagine, like, when Billy comes out on his little tricycle, that John Kramer is, like, behind the curtain. He has to, like, situate the puppet onto the fucking tricycle and, like, buckle it in and, like, push it in and stuff like that. And I want there to be a Saw movie of all the times that, like, John Kramer or whoever is, like, in the background, like, futzing about with the puppet and, like, other things. Like he's like, oh fuck, I gotta put the puppet on. Oh fuck, she got out of the trap. Oh shit, I gotta put the puppet on the fucking on the tricycle. Oh shit. And, like, I want to see that because I think that would be so funny, of just, like, him putzing about with this fucking puppet and shit.
Fucking funny.
Because there's many times where he's just like, you're kind of like, how did he do that? Because, like, like, he had to, like, do it in, like, 3 seconds or like, you know, like, and so I just want to see him, like, preparing, I guess, is something that would be fun to see.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Saw. And just, like, again, I love this movie so much. Final thoughts from you two on this movie?
My final thoughts are, I think this movie, if you watch it because of if you go into this movie watching it with the thought of like, oh, this is Saw, this is like torture, like, ooh, it's Saw, you're not gonna like have a good time. Like, go into this movie without the expectation of it being like the reputation that it's gained, because the first Saw movie is not what made the reputation, if that makes sense. Like, the first Saw movie, the sequels is what like caused the whole like, oh my god, this is torture porn, oh my god, ugh, sort of deal, because the first Saw movie is not at all like those. Like, you can watch the first Saw movie and that be it. And so I think if you go into this movie with the like expectation that it's going to be what its reputation is, you're not gonna really have a good time. You might think it's boring, you might think it's whatever. Whereas with like going into this movie with the expectation of it being like a fucking like crime mystery movie with horror aspects, that's a lot more like how you should go into watching it, because I think you'll have a lot more pleasant of a time watching the movie.
Yeah. How about you, Will? What'd you think? Final thoughts on Saw?
It's a ride. It's really fucking fun.
Are you at all, maybe not for the podcast, but are you at all interested in seeing what the sequels have to offer?
Totally. If they're anywhere near as buck wild as this,
they're more buck wild.
I'm in.
Oh, some of them get insane. I think while 4 is one of my least favorites, it gets buck wild.
I'm so fucking excited. I would love to see the other movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a 10th one coming out. Whether that's going to be another like from the Book of Saw thing, or whether that's part of the original like continuity thing, I am excited.
I mean, yeah. I'm excited too.
Yeah, I want to play the video games.
The video games, I know the video games are like insane. Like, you know,
the games? There are games?
Yeah, there's 2 games for like PS3 and Xbox 360. Mm-hmm. There's 2 of them. I want to play them. They're so expensive. They're like 40, 50 bucks.
You know, the edit, like, they're bad because they're not, like, I know that, like, typically, like, streamers I've watched who play it or people who have played it are, like, it's just, like, quick time events over and over again that get frustratingly, like, and it's dumb. But it's, like, it's an experience to play the video games, honestly. And, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. That was Saw, one of my favorite films, and horror films in general. Thank you so much once again for coming to Horrors for Horror. If you enjoyed this episode, look forward to the next one. Follow us on Twitter at Horrors4, the number 4 horror. At Twitter, you can you can like add us about stuff there, whatever you wanna fucking do, and I am excited to see what we do next. With this podcast, I'm really excited for this podcast, like I mentioned the last episode.
Yeah.
And I hope that you all are too. Thank you so much for listening. And take care. Be sure, stay safe out there. Stay cool. Stay awesome. Don't be a piece of shit. And
bye-bye.
And yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh my god, it's Jigsaw is in my room.